In this demo, let us see how various AI tools help us build software efficient and quicker. Though at Devon we make use of agile methodologies along with DevOps mindset. For the sake of this demonstration, we're now dividing the software development lifecycle into 5 different phases so as to showcase the different AI tools used in each phases, and let us go over them one by one. In this example, let us see how Confluence AI can be used by product management team. So in the Confluence, when I go to create page, I have this page available and there's an icon called as this AI icon, which helps us in creating content based on prompts. So as a product owner, instead of me creating the entire roadmap strategy for a new project, I would request this AI icon to create a new roadmap in 2 months, divide the tasks on weekly basis with a start date as April 1st as tentative. So here I have my set of tasks neatly divided into weekly phase along with the tentative dates which I have provided. And now I continue further and then prompt it to format this data in a table structure with date, tasks, and status as the columns, which I can track later. Well, there you go. The table has been created. Yes, the last couple of rows are not perfect, but still, it has done a neat job of organizing data in the way I want it. And of course, I can edit further and then also tag along with the Jira tickets, etc. I can also request this AI icon to help me suggest a title for this particular table which I've just created. It says product development timeline along with the different phases listed over here, which is decent enough. Now within just few prompts, I have my entire table structure generated. Though it's skeleton, we can continue refining it. There's also an option to change tone. List of options are seen, but let me just say professional. It does try to change it based on the tone which we want to select for. Of course, you can play around with it further. Let us see how Jira AI can help us in project management related tasks. The first one is creating an epic. The moment we click on create issue, we can choose the issue type as epic and then start entering the summary what is required. In our case, we're going with an UX research for a shopping cart, and then we want to list out all the actions which has to be done on that epic. So the moment we tab out, there is some data being processed in the background, and if we scroll down, we have the basic description that has been generated, what the entire epic is about, and you also have some set of acceptance criteria, saying you need to create a research plan, you need to recruit diverse set of people or participants, conduct testing, analyze data, etc. Then we go about creating a story with the help of Jira AI. Again, go to create issue. The issue type will be story now, and we can start writing out the summary what we want. Let's take an example of creating an API in order to accept the user or customer information. Save that in the customer database table and return the customer ID that has been generated. So now you can also copy paste things in description and then click on the AI icon, which gives you a chat box wherein you can ask your questions or discuss alongside. Here I'm asking a whole bunch of description items to be populated with the help of the prompt I've given. So let's click on enter and then see how the data is going to be created or generated. So you can see the bunch of items I requested for: description, prerequisite, requirements, steps, etc., etc. So these are quite accurate and then to the point. Of course, you can edit and then add your own content and make it more customizable. Of course, this is just using the plain English and generating the entire content for us. When it comes to development phase, we've been using GitHub's Copilot as a primary assistant for our development tasks. So let's take a look at how Copilot can be used to generate database schema. Right, so here's the Copilot chat, and I have a text which says create database tables for SQLite. I don't have the format and the exact column type, so I just give a prompt saying create this with the syntax what I want. That's just a plain English text what I have. So now you can see the SQL being generated, which can create the tables for me along with the templates, and also has the insert statements which would be inserting data for my dummy tables. The next step is about how we can generate the OpenAPI specifications with the help of this current SQL text we have. So this is where developers have to give accurate prompts. So I'm now giving create entities based on these SQLs, and also ensure that you don't generate the recruiter ID or the vacancy ID when you're doing a create API call. That's how specific the developers have to go in order to achieve what exactly they want. So this is an API configuration file which developers have to write manually in order to create the OpenAPI schemas. But here, with the help of Copilot, I'm able to generate the entire API structure. Not just that, even the schemas what I want, the entities, basically the recruiters and the vacancy and all the combinations of the APIs are ready right now. So all I have to do is just copy paste this entire generated API configuration data into the new API config file. And of course, we'll have to review and then resolve any issues or modify some of the variables accordingly. Now, with the help of Copilot chat, we can also create the entire REST controller for this particular API configuration. And yeah, we could also create with the help of test driven development approach. Okay, let's say I would be referencing this file in my Copilot chat window, and I'm gonna ask a specific question. So for this specification, I'm asking it to create a REST control with the help of TDD, and for a specific API request, which is about API vacancies, creating new APIs with the help of post status, of course. Now you can see how it is able to generate the test controller first, right? So it's testing the methods, and now gradually it starts also writing the actual controller class and its implementation too. Yeah, so there you see. And for the entities part, it is aware that these OpenAPI specifications will be able to create the required entities, so it doesn't create any new entities for me. Good enough, isn't it? So let's move on. And while developing, we also often hit some issues. For example, this is converting the database, the Java specific date time to database specific date time. So here what I do is to resolve, I map my entity file, which is a vacancy.java, and also the SQL file, which contains a schema of how the data looks in database. Okay. Now I would be asking specific question. Hey, I want to convert this, Java date time, local date time to specific SQL column. Please help me out with that. And now it starts generating a converter for me. Yep, this is the class. It gives me a converter which can convert to a specified database format, and also ensures that you can add this particular annotation in your entity, which is kind of good enough. Instead of developers looking at the Google or Stack Overflow, we kind of have a customized solution here. Now, often when we're developing, we might not be able to adhere to TDD always. There could be some instances wherein I had to tweak some of the code to ensure we push the code earlier. In that case, if we have to add new test cases to the existing set of tests, it'll be very handy with the help of Copilot chat, wherein I've introduced a configuration class now and then trying to connect with that and made some modifications in my service class. So I've just referenced those two classes, the service class and the test class, and now I am asking it to add some the delta of what I have modified in service class to propagate that into test class as well with some new tests. Here you go, and it's trying to recreate the entire thing for me. Yep, so test class is ready. It also builds on top of the existing test class. That means all the methods which I had previously are intact, and also adds in new test cases which covers my use case, which is very good. Of course, this can't be 100% accurate all the time. Now if we just paste it over here, there are some errors. That's where developer has to chip in and then review the code and fix manually.
On to quality engineering phase. The first use case of AI that we'll be seeing is creating new test case with Copilot. Let's say we are working on an e-commerce web application, and the first test case that we have written is validate login. In validate login, we have login method with username, password and URL, and we have verified the title of the page after logging in. Now here we have added Copilot in VS Code. What Copilot does is it prompts what the next piece of code could be. Here it has predicted validate logout as the next test case. Inside validate logout, we have login with the username password like we had in validate login. Then we have clicked on logout, and then we have validated the login button, which will be present only on the login page and not on the home page. So entire test case is done, including the validation. End-to-end validation is done for us here, and the whole test case is ready. Similarly, it can predict other codes as well. Moving on to the next scenario, we'll verify adding a new locator. Now we already saw how prompts work. Here we are working on page object model. We have a login page available to us, which has username, password, and login method. Username selector has of type string and input name as username. Assuming developer is following the same structure everywhere, he has added similar IDs and names for all the elements. If we remove password and press enter, the next locator that is added for us is password selector with type string, input name and password. And this is not on the basis of what we had earlier. This guess is made on the basis of username. Next will be password and similar format is followed. Moving on, creating a new class. Here we'll be making use of the chat option. As already established, we are following page object model. We have login page available. You saw it has username, password, login button selector, and we have a login method as well, making use of the similar params. Now we'll ask the chat option to create a logout page for us. In the logout page, we'll have the logout button and we'll have the method to click on that logout button, and that is added. Now all we need to do is copy this code and put it in a new class. Moving on to slightly complicated scenarios. What if we have developers code available to us in the same repository? If front-end code, that is to say HTML files are available to us, we can create POM pages using the same files. We need not even reference a single file to create that. So we'll go to the chat option and attach the HTML file that is there, and then put up a prompt, create a playwright POM page for, this is the class we are creating, home page. So what Copilot is doing here is identifying the elements, setting up playwright, and it has created a POM page. It has added the locator create button, created a method click button, and then verified that the user form is displayed. We can do this same thing for complicated pages as well. Creating playwright tests from scratch. Here we have two POM pages available to us, home page and user form. User form is slightly complicated with a lot of elements and a lot of methods. I won't go into the details of the application, but what we'll do here is we'll reference these two POM pages and we'll create test cases. So we'll go to the chat option and attach these two classes, user form and home page. And now we'll provide a detailed prompt. In this prompt, we are asking it to create 4 test cases, very specific test cases along with the validations that are expected out of it, and enter. Now what we have done here is create a job vacancy, verified that all the required fields are added and a job is created, then verify that entering all the fields is mandatory, and then once the job is created, confirmation message is displayed. So you can make use of similar prompts, provide detailed prompts, create many test cases in one go, and make full use of this Copilot option that is available to us. API verification with Postbot, an API solution provided by Postman. So here we have kept an empty Postman collection so that I can show you how to create test cases from scratch. Online I found a public library available as Swagger. From there we'll copy the JSON and import all the APIs here. So yeah, the complete collection is imported. It has, I would say, about 20 plus APIs. So yeah, next to the collection you see 3 dots. From there we get an option called generate tests. If you click on that, all the APIs will be loaded here. For now that you see there are no tests, but all the APIs are loaded. Same as what we have on the left side. If we click on generate tests, tests will be generated for all these APIs. unless you are getting a 400 series response. That we'll see in a bit. But if you get response in 200 series, it will add test cases for that. So yeah, let's see this one. What it has verified is response code, format of the response. That response contains an array, and the ID that is returned, that is a no, that is a positive integer. So these test cases are added already. Now negative response can also be a requirement. Sometimes we expect 400 series responses as well. In that case, you have to click here and it will create test cases for that in the similar manner. So response code is verified. In the response, that is also a JSON. We have verified that there is code type and message, and the types of values are also verified. Code is a non-negative integer, type is a string, and message is also a non-empty string. Now, once we have created test cases for all the APIs, we can save those tests and our collection is ready. So we go to run collection. Yeah, all these APIs are here with their saved tests. Now you can run them in one go with that button, run Swagger Pet Store, or you can schedule your runs, or you can verify as well, where what it's verifying is the time taken by the API to run. You can adjust the time. That we'll see in the individual API as well. Going back to the API that had passed for us, we'll see that in action. Yeah, I'll just run it once to see you, to show you the response. Yeah, you see there is an ID there that was verified, and you see the response is an array as well. So these were the values verified. Now let's take a look at the tests that were added. Yeah, here are those tests. And on the right side bottom, you see postbot option. There we can click on add more tests. And as mentioned earlier, it verifies time as well. Time taken by the API can be verified too. So yeah, that test case is added here where it will verify that it should not take more than 200 milliseconds. Yes, here response time is less than 200 milliseconds. Now what if you want to verify a specific scenario? Here in this response we have two values, name and status, where name is fish and status is available. So verify that name is fish when status is available. If we put that prompt, it will create that test case for us. Coming to the bottom, yes, each pet's name is fish when status is available. So what it has done is it has not just verified it one time, it has created a loop response for each function. Yeah, whenever status is available, name should be fish. This could be a requirement or not, but you can edit it as per your own requirement. But it is good enough to create a loop for you here. These are other options available by Postbot. Visualize response is a good one. You should definitely try that. You can put your response in a tabular format, or you can document your API as well. Thank you. Creating bug with Jira AI. We'll open Jira and click on create option, and then we'll select the issue type as bug. Now the story was already created where we were creating a customer ID. We had created an API which is supposed to return a customer ID. And now let's assume with that API that customer ID is not being returned. So we'll add that as the summary. Customer ID is not returned with create user API. As soon as you click outside, description is created for you. In that description, we have the following data: that customer ID is not returned. We have an acceptance criteria added as well, where customer ID should be accurately linked with the user and customer ID should be accessible as well. Now we need steps as well. So if the bug is going back to a developer, they should be able to recreate this bug. So we'll add another prompt, add steps to recreate this bug. You write that and press enter, and steps are added for you. Use the API, verify that customer ID is returned, verify that it is accurately linked, and it is accessible as well. Now searching for issues using natural language. No more jQuery required. Now as soon as you click on the AI option, it itself gives you some options as to how you can put your prompt. Find issues that I'm watching, which tasks in the project EC don't have an assignee. Now I'll try a couple of prompts my side as well and we'll see how it works. We'll try a simpler ones for now. Okay, so find issues. Let's say I'm trying to find issues created by me. So creator is changed to current user. And we'll try one more. Find epic containing tech debt. So tech debt is a search word and issue type is epic. I hope you liked the demo of various AI tools that have empowered my colleagues and me at Devon to deliver high quality software more efficiently. Thank you.